You want to see how we do it in the pros?
Changing your swing is about repetition without repetition. You don't just hit 500 balls with this thing and change your swing. You also don't just hit 500 balls without a thought.
Welcome to Earned Not Given.
Well, Sal, great to have you. For everybody, we have in the house Salima Musani, who encapsulates everything that I wanted to do with this podcast. She was an elite junior player. She then went on to play college golf, little school, you probably don't know, never heard of, Stanford. Then she went on to play professional golf, had 11 professional wins. Then after her professional career, she went back to her alma mater and coached at the University of Stanford. And now she's the head women's coach of the Canadian national team. And every day she's developing the up-and-coming Canadian women players to be the next superstar from Canada while cultivating the current players on the LPGA. So without further ado, Sal, what's up?
Not a lot. It's nice to be here, sitting here with Zach. I mean, somebody I look up to and also embodies all these things and takes care of players in such a holistic way that it's quite impressive and inspirational as well to see.
Well, great to have you. I mean, this is going to be fun. I think what would be amazing for maybe our one listener so far, but hopefully at some point we have more. But I would love you to kind of talk about what you tried to be as a junior player and then how you had to evolve to be a collegiate player. And then we'll talk about the coaching side. But what did you do to go from a young girl in Canada to being a superstar as a junior golfer?
Yeah, you know, my journey through all of that was quite naive, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I came from a family where obviously sports was not the priority. The push and the encouragement was always to be a professional, right? I mean, throughout my entire family, immediate cousins, all that kind of stuff. Both my brothers are pharmacists. Dad's a doctor, mom's a pharmacist. And so, you know, I feel I was very lucky, and I give my parents a lot of credit for just allowing me to follow what I loved. I played 8 sports in high school and didn't start golf.
She's not going to tell you guys, but she just won like some national volleyball championship. So.
No, golf, you know, was kind of an accident, to be honest. I mean, I played a lot of the organized sports through school, and then my dad was probably in his 40s when one of his patients said to him, like, doctors don't work on Wednesdays, they play golf. Gave my dad a set of left-handed clubs, and my dad went and started learning golf left-handed. And I, you know, being me, I was like, take me. And he's like, no, this is my thing, you know. And then he took me to the range a couple times. Nothing happened. And then we went on a holiday to North Carolina a few months into this whole thing. And again, he was going to go play golf in the morning. And my brother and I were kind of pushing to go with him. And he's like, no. And then ended up taking us, left us at the driving range. So I was 13. My brother was 15. We were old enough. No issues there. And just started hitting some balls. The pro grabs us, puts us in a cart, takes us out on the golf course. We think we're in trouble. My dad thinks everything's gone wrong. And he's basically like, these are your kids? And my dad's like, yep. He's like, invest in her.
That's amazing.
And like the rest is pretty much history. 6 months later, I was competing in golf. And I mean, it was just a summer sport for me, June, July, August in Canada. It's kind of when I played golf. And then if we went on a family holiday at Christmas time, spring break, that type of thing, I played some golf. But yeah, you know, to go back to the original question, I feel like I just kind of played the game. Didn't have a lot of formal coaching. We didn't know where to go, what to look for. The really funny thing is Sean Foley is from Burlington, Ontario, which is the same town I'm from, but didn't even know any of that till years later. I ended up working with him in like 2006. I started playing golf in 1994. So 12 years later, you know, crossing paths with Sean. So yeah, it was a very just kind of I played the game. I love sports. I was an athlete. If I look back at my golf swing, don't have a lot of videos, but I remember the types of things I worked on. It wasn't like pretty. I mean, it got the job done. I'm only 5'2", so there's only so much you can do at the golf club. But yeah, I think I played the game. I was a very quiet, hardworking. I love the if I compare like why I chose golf, I hated losing, to be honest. And again, ironically, we lose way more in golf than we do anything else. But, I played on the national field hockey team, and we'd go work out, train, practice. I was running 2 hours a day, and then we lose a game. And it's like the worst feeling, because you did everything you could. You were out there, you did your part, and you lose the game. And I would go to golf practice in the summer and hit balls, chip, go play a one-day tournament, come home with a trophy. And I'm like, this is just way more fun. So I think I've just fell in love with the individual nature of it. You put in the work, you get it out. You're kind of in your own little space. You're responsible for everything you're doing, and everything that comes of it. And I think that's just what lured me into this game, and kind of what kept me in it. I obviously, through my career, I had a lot of health issues. That's why I'm not playing anymore. But even through all that, like I was hell bent on making it my career and making it my job and my dream, and getting to the highest level. And I think it was probably just my desire to just be the best that I could be at what I was doing.
So at 13, you're taking up the game. You never video your swing, or at least very rarely. No formal instruction. You go on to be a national champion as a junior golfer. Then you get a college scholarship, win 11 times on tour. And now in today's world, the parents that are watching, a lot of them are specializing their kid at 3, 4, 5 years old because they think they're on the trajectory to be the next Salima Musani or Tiger Woods or Brooke Henderson. What do you think allowed you not to fall into that trap?
Yeah, the whole concept of specialization is, a hot topic. I personally think like there's a limit to the specialization. I think it's important to be doing other things. The game has become more holistic. There's a lot more training around it. There's a lot more knowledge around how to train. Coaches like yourself, right, are experts at this, like how to actually learn in an effective manner that doesn't put your body at risk. But I think it's really important that the players have some sort of balance. Whether it is with a different sport, whether it is with their outside golf life versus inside golf life, the social life, knowing how to make friends, knowing how to, be reliant on somebody, but have somebody relying on you. Like that stuff is important. And people don't realize, because once you get out on the tour, you're on an island, you're on your own. You got to be able to take care of yourself, but you got to have those people around you. You got to have that team. That includes not only your coaches, your physios, your nutritionists, your trainers, all that stuff, but you need to have the social circle. You need to have all that environment around you. And if you're just at the golf course every day from the age of 4 or 5 on your own doing things, it gets lonelier the higher up you go. And so I think there's a limit to the specialization. I think, as I'm mentioning, like the way the coaching is happening these days is limiting the burnout on the body, because people are practicing better and learning better. But I still think there needs to be balance. Like I said, whether it's other sports or other activities, interests, there needs to be some balance growing up.
I know I said we were going to talk about your junior career and then your college career and then your pro career, but just one question off topic, or actually specifically for this. Are you now consciously coaching the girls that are on Team Canada to have this balance? Or do you find players that are intrinsically motivated like you that are less likely to burn out, and that's the differentiator? Or is there like a structure that you guys put in place?
We don't put a formal structure in place as far as like helping them to build their calendars out and their schedules. I mean, obviously we have no control over their college season and what they're doing in college, but we're fairly cognizant over the summer with the events when we have them send their schedules so we can help, manage, and we know them a little better now as I'm in almost my 3rd year with the national team. You get to know, like, do they do well playing 3, 4, 5 events in a row? Do they need a break? When do they need the break? What are the events in their calendar that have the asterisks, right? The ones that are important, whether it's Q school at the end of the summer, it's, perhaps an exemption they earn into the Canadian LPGA Canadian Open. We have some mandatory events with our Canadian Amateur. So it's not, at no point are we trying to ever force them into just play. I mean, this winter, we even, got rid of one camp that we would typically have over Christmas just to give the girls a break and let them have their space. And, a couple players took a couple months off, didn't do anything. Some played tournaments through that time. Everybody, like you said, has their own intrinsic motivation or their desire to keep competing or to take a break. And I think they're all old enough now to know what's best for them. And so we don't try to interfere with that or change that, but build around that and say, like, okay, let's mindfully take this 2 months off. Let's mindfully do things so that when we do come back, we're ready to go. And it's not like a slow, progression back into the competition.
That's amazing. And I think listening to your story at 13, you clearly wanted your dad to take you to the course. And then when he did, even though maybe it wasn't intentional, he cultivated that this is Salima's dream, not my dream. And hopefully parents can learn one thing from this podcast, which is if your child is begging to go to the golf course and they enjoy practice and it's fun, whether they're 4 or 14, you just need to keep those balances between it's all about how many trophies you put on the wall, but it's really about how much do you love the game, right? I think of that Rory clip that went viral, right, where he's talking about as soon as golf feels like a job, he's going to quit. I think it's really important for parents and players to understand that. So let's now take it to college. You're this girl that started at 13, playing competitive, obviously winning a lot, but nowadays parents are telling me, how come my kid's not recruited at 13? So how did that recruiting process look? How'd you figure out to end up at the schools that you ended up at?
Yeah, again, so super naive family. We didn't know how this all worked. I didn't play AJGA tournaments. I was just playing up in Canada. And my senior year of high school, my parents are from East Africa, Uganda. They were kicked out in 1972. And it was right around this time, 1996, 1997, the government was asking families to come back to Africa, to reclaim their land, to move back. And I was going to be in my final year of high school. My parents were like, oh, what should we do? Should we go back to Africa? And we went on a holiday to Texas instead. One of my dad's patients had moved to Dallas area and said, come to Texas. For 2 weeks, I'll take you around Dallas, Austin, Houston, San Antonio. We'll just tour Texas. You'll have a great time. So we went to Texas on a holiday. And by the time we got to San Antonio, my dad just fell in love with San Antonio. And honestly, on that trip, we were looking at places to live and a high school for me to go to. And my dad had this plan, why don't you play golf for a full year and see if you actually love it? Because like I mentioned to you, I was playing 3 months at home, playing other sports during the year. I was happy as can be. And so, there you have it. Dad stops practicing medicine. We go down to San Antonio, my senior of high school. I played a couple AJGA tournaments, ended up getting to play in the Cannon Cup somehow. Finished second. I think I played 2 AJGs and finished second in both of them. One of them was to Beth Bauer, who was, God back then. Yeah. But yeah, it was, I do that. I won the Texas State 5A championship. Did a whole bunch of crazy things. But so now my parents had a house in San Antonio. They had businesses there because they had to invest for us to even move there. And so I started tapping on the shoulder of the coach at Texas. I wasn't being recruited by her. I was being recruited Auburn, LSU, New Mexico, Duke. Really wanted to go to Stanford. And then we realized, look, University of Texas is right down the street. And Kelly Keeney was there. Heather Bowie was there. I mean, they had a top-notch program going on. So I just kept trying to reach out to the coach and kind of hello, I'm right here. I've won 2 Canadian juniors. I've now won the Texas State 5A. And yeah, she eventually offered me the full ride. And so I went to Texas and it was great. Freshman year was awesome. Everything was great. That whole process, just to rewind, so the recruiting didn't really start till really late for me. I started to get some letters, but I was also playing national field hockey. So that was part of the reason of going to the States, to decide which way do I really want to go. And it was an easy decision to pick golf at that point. I got to spend more time. I got better, all that good stuff, right? So, yeah, then you go to Texas, had a great freshman year. You're playing in all these big events. You're around all these great people. But, right, the grass is, it's not always as good as it looks. And, yeah, I ran into some health issues, had some tough times. Things weren't going my way. Didn't play much my sophomore year for several reasons. And that summer after my sophomore year, just decided that I needed to make some changes. You know, as serendipitously as things work, Stanford had space. Yeah, I took 6 months off to get my health in order and transferred over to Stanford in January of 2000. So yeah, it was a good journey. No regrets. Got a great education both places. Obviously, the Stanford degree is pretty special, and the environment there was also very special. But yeah, no regrets either way. Like, 2 great programs, golf-wise, academically. But yeah, it's this whole journey right through golf takes you so many different places, and you look back. I mean, I'm old now. Probably way older than you, Zach. And you know, it's just it's interesting to look back and see what you did and how you did it, and then now to put the lens of like now being a coach and seeing what the people at my age, you know, back then are doing now. I mean, the game has changed so much, as you know.
Pretty crazy, that story. Like, I've known you for a while, and I didn't know that story. That's amazing. You could have ended up in East Africa, and instead you end up in San Antonio, and then you could have played your entire career at Texas, but you found a reason to move, and it was the right decision. And ultimately, you play for Stanford. What was the reason why you think the coach found space for you? Obviously, you played well your freshman year, health issues sophomore year. What were the intangibles maybe that she was willing to take a risk on a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I know exactly what those are, but I think she knew I was a hard worker. We had played regionals at Stanford my freshman year, and I had a good finish, which probably helped. But yeah, I think I knew a couple of the girls on the team. You know, at the end of the day, that stuff is still important. Who you are as a person, you know, how you're going to fit into the team, where you belong, the chemistry that comes with all of that is still important. And I think she probably saw that I was gonna come and work hard. I was gonna put in my time. I was gonna earn my spot. I mean, the Stanford team had at that time Hillary Homeyer, who's now, you know, she's Hillary Lunke. She won the U.S. Open. Stephanie Keever, Kim Roughton, Kim Hall now, assistant coach at Auburn. They had a stout team as well. So cracking that lineup was no easy feat. And I think she knew I was going to come in and work hard and have some value to add to the team. So,
well, there's no doubt you added value, enough value that after you go on and win 11 times as a pro, you get an opportunity to go back there and coach. What was it like playing professionally and doing very well, and then making that decision? Obviously, some of it had to do with your health, but also going back and coaching. How'd you have to change from this player, and it's all about Salima, to now it's all about how do I cultivate these 7-8 young ladies into being what you were previously as an alum?
yeah, you know, that's also that whole story is crazy, and we could probably make this podcast hours if we wanted to. But I think that the transitions were easier for me because of the health issues. And again, like, you know, things happen in life for reasons. The year that I was really sick, right around 2007, 2008, I had my best year in 2006, and then things just started getting really bad. And that was right around the time that the NCAA changed the rule to where the programs could hire an assistant coach. So previously there were no assistants in NCAA golf when I was playing. We had like directors of operations, but there was never 2 coaches on the golf course. And that all changed. And so I got the call from Caroline, who was the head coach at the time, saying like, look, I have this opportunity to hire somebody and I want to hire you. And this is right around the time I was thinking of quitting. So it was kind of a no-brainer, right? It was like, this falls on your lap. get to stay in golf. I didn't know what it was going to mean to be a coach. I didn't know where the journey was going to take me, obviously. But I think deep down, my personality and even when I was on the team at Stanford, like, and Texas, probably don't remember as much there, but I like to help the girls. I like to, we're always helping, but I was always kind of the one like watching them and helping them, and we were giving feedback to each other, and I'd always be the one to kind of want to be there. And so I look back and I wonder if maybe like this was always kind of written, that this is where I was going to end up. But we just don't know where this is all going. Like, I didn't even touch on the story of who my coach was growing up. I said I had very little formal training. I had a coach, he actually lived in Ohio. We were, again, on holiday in Florida after I started playing, and some guy in the back shop told us there's this Great Lakes golf school that comes down here. Like, is that why you're here? And we said, no, we have no clue what that is. And he set it up for me to meet Leo Zampedro, was the gentleman's name, out of Parma, Ohio. And he took me under his wing. It was like once or twice a year I would see him for like a week. And that was my formal training, all through my high school years. But he was a phenomenal mentor and coach. He unfortunately passed away in 2006, suddenly, at a young age. And, I sit now and I see what I'm doing, and like, I just wish he could see, because I look now, when you look back and you take time to look at your journey, you're like, there's reasons, right? There's reasons you end up where you are. And yeah, I would love to still be playing out on tour. I'd love to still be competing, but we get here for certain reasons. And I feel like I was always meant to get here through the whole journey that I took. So
it's remarkable. And I think you're absolutely right. Like, we talk, right, as what we want our players to do is thrive in the face of adversity. And not only did you thrive in the face of adversity, but I think you encapsulate that the world doesn't happen to you, the world happens for you. And so that all happens in 2006. And now you sit here as the head women's coach of the national team. How'd you take the experience from Stanford or your playing career, or maybe just that internal DNA of you always destined to be a coach? But what do you think? I mean, I know because I have the privilege of watching you coach and being around you, but what makes Salima the best candidate in the world to be the national team coach? Because there's no doubt you are, and I know you're humble, but what are those skills that you have? Is it empathy? Is it understanding? Is it that you demand or you command? What do you think it is that make you such a good coach?
Ooh, that's a tough one to have to speak about myself, but I think definitely, I have empathy, 100%. I care for every single one of them. I think that's important. I only want the best for them. I do demand things, definitely. I have to say the hard things a lot of times. I have to ask them to do things or just tell them what I'm seeing, right? Whether, just to even just look in the mirror and make them do that themselves and reflect and figure out what they want and how they're going to get there. But I think that it takes a lot of, as you know, in this job, there's a lot of moving pieces, right? These players are coming to us at an elite level, not by accident. They've got people like you on their team. They've got trainers on their team. They've got family. They've got college coaches. It's a big working wheel of things that need to be juggled and managed. And so helping them to see and understand, number one, the value of that team. You got to have the right people in your corner at those moments. You said it perfectly. Like, we need them to succeed and perform in that moment. We don't know what that moment's going to be for each of them, when it's going to come, how it's going to show up. But when they get to that moment, we want them to be ready. And so it takes a lot of people. It's 100% not all me. I'm just a small piece that makes sure I'm trying to kind of like I call myself kind of the hub, or the eyes in the sky that just make sure everything's oiled, everything's working right? The services are happening on time. But yeah, it takes, I think for me, it's a lot of relationship management. Obviously having some knowledge and being knowledgeable about the golf swing and kind of being able to see what's going on so I can have the conversations with their personal coaches, and in some cases be able to step in and help them in moments when, things might be spiraling the wrong way. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's relationship management, it's communication, understanding the players, what's best for them, like we spoke about right at the beginning, knowing their DNA of just what makes them do their best in those moments, preparing them, timing them, scheduling, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's not all I thought when I took the job, but it's kind of evolved into something that hits a lot of my strengths.
Yeah, there's no doubt. You're way more than just a hub. You're probably the engine, right? And then you do a great job of making sure all the other components are great. I guess to add some value to our listeners, when you were recruiting players at Stanford, were you looking for their ranking? Were you looking for their club head speed? What were the things that you looked for to say, hey, you've earned the right to become a Stanford Cardinal?
So recruiting was about 80% of the job as a head for the head coaches. I was an assistant, so it fell a lot on our shoulders to recruit. The things we looked for, and they probably still look for, I would imagine, is big piece, character. How they carry themselves on the golf course. Are they saying thank you to volunteers as they walk by? What happens to their body language and their demeanor after a penalty? What happens at the end of the round? Are they sticking around to shake hands? Are they storming off? Are they talking to their parents? How do they treat people? I think that a lot of that gets overlooked because now the world's kind of becoming more and more result oriented, and obviously we're looking at that, right? That's the byproduct. But being able to judge a player's character, as we all know, the adage of you spend 4 hours with somebody on the golf course, you learn a lot more about them. It's similar in this case, right? Just watching how they handle themselves. They hit a poor shot. Are they walking with their head down, slamming their club, or are they chin up, walking to the next one, ready to attack it and do the best they can every time? I know it's easy to say it and stuff, but over time you see this, and it really speaks to, the character of the human, which at the end of the day is going to bleed into their success. So
No doubt. So those parents that are obsessing over the ranking should spend a little bit more time obsessing over their athletes' behaviors and the way they treat people. That's incredible. Like, I'm going to clip this and I will show that to the entire junior academy that we have here, because it's rare that we get to hear that from a coach at Stanford. And then when a player hears that, I think they might actually listen. So let's move now to your current role and what it looks like. Obviously, 2024 is an Olympic year, which is pretty sweet. If you're the national team coach, I guess you've got a plan for the summer. What does it look like for you with the different phases, just so people can get some understanding? You not only coach that tour player and you help them, but you also have a junior team and then a national team at different ages. So just kind of explain the way that Canada Golf structures it, because I know the U.S. is trying to do something, and maybe Zambri's going to listen to this and take some ideas from you, but what do you guys do for those levels, and what are the things that get a girl into a level or ultimately out of a level?
yeah, 100%. So the way Golf Canada has it structured right now, we have if you think of like a funnel, at the top or the bottom, however you want to look at it, is our talent identification layer. So Tristan Mullally, who was the head coach of the women's program before me, is now heading up that department. So he's out working with provincial coaches, working with all the hotbed coaches around the country to help make sure there's, correct instruction happening. People are getting what they need at that level. He's even, stepping in and helping to create some of that curriculum, so to speak, at that age. And then from there, they move up from that kind of talent ID phase into the next gen program. So that would be like your junior program that you're referring to. So those kids are working with our junior national team coaches. They're in the women's and a men's program as well there. They work their way through that. Obviously, they're helping them with train. We have a lot of training camps through the winter with our national team on the next gen side. And then all the same type of support that they receive once they reach the top. And as they kind of get better, they're getting recruited and getting into colleges and maintaining world ranking. That's when they would graduate into our program, Team Canada. So Team Canada used to be explicitly separated into the elite amateurs and the young pros, and now it's just one umbrella, Team Canada. But that's what makes up our team. So this year we have 11 amateurs on the team and 4 pros. And the way it works, basically, we have one girl in high school still. She's going to Harvard next year.
Not bad.
You've met her, Michelle. But yeah, so it's now about like how do they move is at the end of the day it's world ranking. But like I spoke to you, like those first the ones that are at the top, our highest ranked player is 28 in the world right now. And then, as you get to those last 2, 3, we get to have a little bit of discussion around, who we come back to this character discussion, right? Who has it in them to like actually put the work in? Who's going to put the work in? Who has that potential from the side of their mind, from the side of all the things they've done in their career and the resources they've received, and who do we want to give a chance to, right? So it's kind of fun in that way to take a look at the whole part of people and not just what's their world ranking and X or check. Get to put a little bit of time and effort into that. And, we have a whole a committee, so it's not just on me to select the team. There's a selection committee that does all that, and we just rank the players, and then a line is drawn based on resources, size, all that kind of stuff. So it's always hard when the person on the other side of the line is not there, but I'm also never going to leave anyone hanging. There's 2 or 3 players that have been on the team in the past that are not, that I still stay in touch with regularly, help them if I can. So yeah, this is a group effort. It's all about helping people, in my opinion, be the best version of themselves, help them to build good habits. I mean, at the end of the day, that's my value add. Is I'm not going to be most of their swing coaches, and I don't need to be, but I have other places that I can add value. And I think one of those biggest thing is, building good habits and just demanding more of themselves in that sphere to just get to where they want to be. So
it's amazing. And you definitely do add value to every one of those girls, and every one of the girls that I've had the privilege of being around not only sees you as an amazing coach, but an amazing influence in who they become as a character, who they become in the future. I think they'll reference you, which is probably, as you know now, coaching, that's the greatest reward as a coach, right? Is when you see a player make their goals a reality. It's amazing. But when you see a player evolve into the person that you always know they could be, there's nothing better, right? I'll probably cry on the podcast in the first episode. So that's amazing. For parents, athletes, right? Like, I've got to watch the girls that you have on that amateur squad, and there is no doubt that Team Canada produces girls that hit the ball extremely far. I don't know if that's from the hockey background or it's from just that they smash it or whatever, but it does seem like a differentiator in the women's game right now is speed. And for a parent or a young junior golfer listening to this, how much do you think speed is going to be important in the future of this game?
That's a really good question. I mean, I've thought about this and we've debated it and talked through it a few times. And I think on the men's side, it definitely makes a huge difference. On the women's side, there is an advantage, but it's not as big as an advantage because all the other girls that aren't hitting it far are hitting it in the fairway. And so if you're not hitting it in the fairway and you're short, then you're in trouble. But if you're bombing it and you're in the rough, the other girls are still they're in the fairway, which isn't as much of a loss. But speed to me is definitely important. And I think that the girls on the girls' side, it's just not as a popular a thing, but the girls that do hit it, like it becomes an addiction, right? For anybody that has the capability and the desire. And I really think that, on the men's side, if we just speak to statistics, right? When you can go for par fives and two and you get it up there close, I think there's like a 95% that your average score is lower than the person that's laying up to their favorite yardage. That was back in my day, that was the thing to do, right? Pick your favorite yardage, lay up to it, and then attack the pin. But that's been debunked pretty solidly by some of these stats gurus out there. So speed is a thing. I think that the Canadian water is just special. It's probably why we have all these stronger girls. No, but I think the face of the game is changing. I think the way kids are being raised. Tiger obviously changed this bar, and it's continuing to change with all the Instagram and all the things online that are showing what other people are doing. You're getting a glimpse into what's happening, and then we're in a world where we want to be like everyone else, and so it's easy to get better quicker, and then that lends to this kind of change in speed. Like when I was playing, speed wasn't a thing. I mean, we didn't have TrackMan either, let's be honest, but it wasn't a thing. And but now it's a thing, and it's valuable, 100%. I don't think it's definitely not a detriment. But yeah, it's maintaining the other parts of the game and not getting lost in that, especially on the women's side. I think it's you still have to have the art of getting the ball in the hole and the wedge game and all that stuff. So it's getting better. It's getting better, but it is important.
I agree. Speaking of statistics and the stats gurus, how integral into your development of these players are the use of statistics?
It's super important. I mean, I wish the girls they all do their stats in college. And we have our own stats program that we use. And I mean, ideally it would be perfect if in a perfect world they put their stats into everything all the time.
Girls, if you're watching this and listening to this, the last time we have to remind you to put your stats in, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I mean, it just opens discussion, right? It then doesn't become a subjective thing where you walk off the golf course emotionally and be like, oh, my putting's terrible. I mean, if you let's just pretend we say that and they walk off and they think they're a terrible putter, but their proximity to the hole was 49 feet. Yeah. That's probably a little extreme, but.
So you guys are using statistics to take out emotion, right? And then to show them those little marginal gains to get better, right?
Exactly. And it's a great reflecting tool. I mean, this is another public service announcement, like reflection, debriefing, journaling, like priceless.
Oh, you think those are important, huh?
I think they're important.
It's amazing. Like, I really hope my kids are listening, because I say that, similar to how you're asking the girls to put in stats, I ask for journaling, reflection, and a lot of times it's, but I don't think the best players in the world do it. So now, a Stanford women's coach, national team coach, cultivator of the next generation of Team Canada is saying journaling.
Yeah, it's a form of reflection, right? If I do my stats at the end of the round and I take 15 minutes to go through each hole and enter it in, byproduct, you're reflecting. You're getting a chance to think through some of the decisions you made, remind yourself of some of the things that happened maybe that you were thinking out there, relive them, write them down, deal with them in some cases, celebrate them in some cases. It's just such an invaluable thing that you won't see the benefit the first day you do it, right? But over time, I don't know if it was, I don't remember the exact details, but Matt Fitzpatrick in that Full Swing Netflix, they showed some clips of him like writing a novel, it looked like, after every round of golf.
He records every single shot.
Yeah, I mean, that takes a lot of effort. And, well, he's won a major on the PGA Tour, so I'd say there's some benefit to it. I don't know. It's a hard thing because of the world we live in. So many distractions for these young kids. They want to sit on their social media. They want to watch a show. They want to play a game. They want to do anything but look inside. And we just have to, that's our job, right? To just keep trying to be the person that pushes them and makes them better. And look, if it helps a few of them, we pat ourselves on the back, but there's that saying, you can take the horse to water. You can't force it to drink. But we can sit and, like I said, be the tough person that demands things, asks for things, tries to show the value. And at the end of the day, it's on them to take the leap and do what they think and feel is going to be best for them.
It's amazing. And I think you're right when you said to reflect on success. I think a lot of times the players I see, and certainly we're now talking about pro players, elite amateurs that you're coaching, the highest ranked girls in Canada are under your tutelage. How often do you think those players really understand their growth from year to year or month to month? Obviously, you guys do a good job of reminding them of that, but for them to really get to that finish line, how much are they praising the success and purging failures, or do you see them more wanting to talk and call you and reach out after a bad round versus a good round?
I would almost say they'd rather talk about the good stuff, but they do like venting, which is okay too. It's hard. It's easy from us, right, from our seat we've been through it. We know what works, what doesn't work. We know what we did. We know what we wish we could have done better. But it's just so easy to be status quo. It's so easy to be comfortable. It's so easy to do the things that don't require the extra energy. But yeah, celebrating the successes is important. And, kind of a sidebar tangent to that is the success isn't what breeds the confidence, right? Like they need to know that process that they're doing every day, that journaling, that stats entering, that hard work in planning their practices. All of that is where the confidence should be coming from. And so then when you do have those victories and you do have those moments of good, you can actually celebrate them because you know what you did to get those. And I think it's really important that, when you do have that victory, you're really celebrating the work that went into it and not just the 65 that came out of it. So
That's amazing. I hope everyone. David Orr is a famous putting coach, and in every session I've ever been around him, he always says, write that down. So hopefully someone writes that down because that's amazing. As you get ready for the summer, right? Obviously, Canada, that's when tournaments ramp up. That's when you guys are really trying to have these players compete. But this year is special in that it's the Olympics. So what does that mean? Like, I get goosebumps just thinking that I'm going to see you in the Canada colors walking out and being a part of that. So this is your first Olympics that you get to be a part of?
this will be the first one. Yeah, it's going to be a cool situation. It's being played in Paris. The World Am Championship was there a couple years ago, and I had the opportunity to be there. So I've seen the golf course. Most of you, if you watch the Ryder Cup, you've seen it too. There's a lot of water. It's going to be a good, fun test. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Right now, Brooke Henderson is pretty much a lock. That second spot, though, is open, and we have three pros, even, a fourth one that's new on the tour this year, that can all kind of fight out for that second spot. I think June 24th is our cutoff, so whoever's the highest ranked player at that time. Two of those are on our national team. So you mentioned Elena earlier. She's, kind of graduated out of the system there. But Maud Amy LeBlanc, Maddie Zarek, Savannah Grewal are all on the tour right now. And, the summer there's 5 months before that deadline shows up. So, yeah, we don't know. It's exciting. It's exciting to watch, for me to know that I'm going to get to be there and support them and help them prepare in whatever way that I can. And yeah, wearing the red and white and walking out there will be definitely a special moment for me.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. And what do you think those girls right now that are on that verge, whether it's Maddie or Savannah or the players that are trying to make it, to walk out there with you in the red and white, like what do they have to do between now and in June?
Obviously, they gotta perform. At the end of the day, that's what it takes, right? And as far as for some of the, for Savannah, she's a rookie on the tour, so she's probably making adjustments, trying to get used to that lifestyle and what comes with it. Maddie's been out there. She's going to be bouncing kind of between Epson and LPGA this year. Super steady, grindy, feisty. They all know what it's going to take. They all know probably where they need to tap into in their game to make that, like you said, find those gains, the low-hanging fruit, however you want to kind of deal with it. But yeah, I think in the next 5 months, they're going to have to really pay attention to what they're doing. And we come back to the same thing, their process, right? What are they doing every day to achieve that goal, right? Work backwards, plug it into a monthly context, a weekly context, a daily context, and yeah, try to maximize so that, the weaknesses get stronger and the performance back to, again, it's like a Seinfeld episode, being able to perform in that moment where it matters is the ultimate goal. And I do want to make one plug too for like mental game. We haven't really talked about it, and I think that's a part of the game that people don't realize or think about, because we're like, oh, we got to work on our bunker shots or our chip shots or our pitch shots, but every single thing we do, it starts up here. You don't pick up this microphone, you don't do anything without this thing working. And I think that's probably in today's age, the mindfulness piece, the focus piece, meditation. It's so easy to not do it. Like we said earlier, all the distractions that are around and other things to do and FOMO and all those things that come into play. But I really believe that that's what's going to set people apart. Your ability to quiet the mind, your ability to find some peace, your ability to perform, being clear, being green, whatever you want to call it. You got to be able to do that. You got to be able to find that space to perform. And it starts with training. It's not just going to happen. It's not just going to work when you want it to work. You got to train it like anything else. And yeah, that's my piece on that.
Let's dig deep on that. So you got to train it. What do you think? Team Canada girls, how are they training that? Are they using NeuroPeak to work on their breathing? Are they doing guided meditation? What are some of the things that you kind of encourage the girls to do? Obviously, you can't make them do it, but what are you encouraging them to do?
So we have some players using NeuroPeak 100%. So training, breathing, starting to understand how to do that, when to do that, what it feels like. We've started this year a little bit of like just a weekly, our mental performance coach will send out like a mindfulness reminder. So she'll send out a guided meditation or an idea of a mindful walk, or just something they can do for 10 or 15 minutes on their own time every day if they want, a few times a week. They can set that cadence. But it's just, if we keep giving it to them, hopefully they'll bite, and hopefully they'll see the benefit. I think that, the way I did, some work recently, and the way we wake up in the morning, is going to kind of set the stage for the day. So I think it's important to understand, what are they doing in their regular day to set them up for the rest of the week or the rest of the next day. Are they doing things they hate doing? Are they watching a lot of TV? What are they surrounding themselves with to set them up to be better? And so there's a lot of work to be done. As you can see, it's the act of doing. Can't sit here and talk about it, but it's a slow train still. But I think it'll pick up some steam once they see the benefit.
Yeah, I definitely know that it will pick up steam, and those players that have the ability to step up in the moment, they've definitely done the work behind the scenes. We talked earlier that you had an amazing career, and you obviously won 11 times. So how did you step up in the moment? How did you block out the noise, have that flow state, if you will? What was Salima's secret to getting into that mindset?
For me, it was probably just, I don't know, I think it's just the ability to kind of rise above it, right? So be able to kind of understand that this is like any other moment is probably what I told myself. I remember actually the Epson Tour, the final round, it was the only 4-day event on tour back then. I was leading after 3 rounds. I definitely said to myself, why can't this be over like any other event? I just win and go home. That definitely crossed my mind. I was very nervous the morning of the final round. And I remember I was working with Sean Foley at that time, and he had called the pro shop and left a message for me. And I went into the pro shop and I called him, and he basically just said, Sal, like, you didn't get here by accident. Everything you've done to this point has made you ready for this moment, and you're not going to just lose your talent today. And I think that was a really big reminder that has stuck with me. And that's where I'm talking about, like, those daily things that you do, the process that you go through, the preparation you do on a regular basis, and how you do that, it does build up to something. It does pay off in the end. And I think I really believed in what I was doing. And so I was able to kind of rise above and just do what I needed to do. There was no formal mental coaching going on. I had no sports psychologist back in the day, but I think it was just a belief in what I was doing.
Yeah, well, I think you did have a sports psychologist, because Foles is as good at helping people be present and having amazing conversations about mindfulness and growing as a human as he is about understanding D-plane and 3D. So pretty ironic that that's how it was. Are you now sending messages to the pro shop before girls play? Or?
I haven't done that yet, but I'm usually on site. So try to give them that, last piece of motivational help. But look, these girls are all supremely talented. I know you're also working. You obviously work with one of our players, and that's how we've formed this great friendship and working kind of back and forth collaboration. And these girls are all talented. We all want the best for them. We see where where they have their weaknesses, and we see where we can help them to get that little bit better. But at the end of the day, like, this is their journey. I truly believe this is their journey, and like you said, if we can impact just a little bit, if we can help them to be a better version of themselves in life, and that then equates to success on the golf course, then mission accomplished. And when we get out of here, we'll be pretty satisfied.
No doubt, and I think you've done that today. So thank you for giving everybody this opportunity to learn from you and hear your journey and understand. But a lot of people that watch this are going to say that I try and talk too much. So is there anything else that you want to give to the audience, if that's a junior golf parent or someone trying to play professional golf, or maybe it's one of your players that they might have to listen to this podcast to finally listen to some of the things you say? But can you give us some last little nuggets of wisdom before we let you go?
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure. I think my main message is do the little things well. Take whatever you're doing, write it down, make a little schedule of what you do in a regular day, and really take a look at what you're doing and where you can maybe just be better. Take something out, add something, tweak something. I think my biggest thing is, like, the little things we do add up. Atomic Habits, any kind of stuff you read about building a habit, it takes the small moments that add up to something bigger. We hear about getting 1% better every day. We hear, let's be better than the day before, all the different cliches and things that get tossed around, but those are just cliches until you do something. And so I think that, my message would be to just take a closer look at what you're doing. Work hard, do the best you can, surround yourself with good people. Have faith that this is all gonna work out to your favor. And yeah, let's go.
That's amazing, and we thank you so much for your time. A lot of these listeners will never have the privilege of getting coached by you because they're not of Canadian descent. But how can people find you? How can they continue to learn from you? We'll make sure that Casey links up all your information, but I don't want this to be the only time that people have the privilege to learn from you. So where can they go and find you on those socials?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm not a big social media poster, but this might be my little tweak to do things better too, and post a little more. But yeah, Salima M Golf. Find me, message me, DM me. I'm more than happy to talk to any of you. And if I can help in any way, provide any insight, any advice, more than happy to do it.
That is an incredibly generous offer. a former Stanford women's golf coach and the head women's coach of Team Canada, offered for any one of you to reach out to her. Let's follow up in a few months and find out how many people actually stepped up in the moment and capitalized on that offer. I can't thank you enough. I'm so excited to take these headphones off, have some food, and then actually get to do what we love, which is coach together. So thanks so much for the time, Sal. It's amazing.
You want to see how we do it in the pros?
Changing your swing is about repetition without repetition. You don't just hit 500 balls with this thing and change your swing. You also don't just hit 500 balls without a thought.
Welcome to Earned Not Given.